Hi, I'm Keisha Bisram,
And I'm Hanjie Chow.
and you're listening to the Every Shade Podcast.
Season 2.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I am well. How are you? Sorry, I'm like eating a cupcake.
Mr. Vanity Fair model.
Oh,
Are you eating a
why,
cupcake?
thank you.
As I call you, model.
Why, thank you. I'm not going to be modest about it. So, yeah.
I mean, you should not be. Why should you? Dude, that picture was hot. I saw it.
Oh, God. Even as I said that, I was like, oh, cringe.
As soon as I saw your Instagram post,
And meanwhile,
like,
I'm here eating a chocolate cupcake. So, well, so that's where we're at.
you shoving a cupcake in your mouth is like, if there was a photo of that, it would be like Instagram reality.
Right. Just like chocolate everywhere. How are you?
I'm good. A little tired and cranky today because I'm getting my period, so you know how that is.
Oh, wonderful.
Itchy.
Hot time of the month.
Want to eat all the time. I mean, I'm so jealous of you eating a cupcake right now. I kind of want to.
Well, I would give you one, but we're on the other side of the one there. We're on the other side of the Atlantic at the moment.
For now.
But not for long.
For now.
Because this bitch is coming back.
Yes. Things in New York are like starting to, pop again.
Yeah, I'm really getting like FOMO.
Yeah. I feel like now it's like I can justify your FOMO-ness because before when I got back, I back in March, walking around New York and like driving around New York and hanging out in New York, it didn't feel the same. So it's kind of like I don't know, like you can wait, but now it's starting to come back again.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think people are also, they're in a better mood because
it's summer.
Yeah, it's summertime. And like, I was talking to a friend recently about this, that last year was just so overwhelming in every area of life. And it was all that we ever talked about. Whereas right now, I think everyone's experiencing a burnout and they just want to enjoy life.
No, for sure.
So it's like everyone's kind of like in a nice, good, light, airy mood.
I mean, I'm just hoping that by the time I come back in like fingers crossed a month and a bit, or hopefully less, that the rent prices will still be low.
Yeah, I mean, so far I haven't heard anything about it raising. I think it's still the same.
Good.
I don't know. I'm praying that like things will be fine for you.
I'm praying too. Give me one sec. Keep talking. I'm just gonna grab some water, like literally right here. I'm listening though.
Okay, cool. All right. So the movies we're gonna be talking about today they're both Studio Ghibli films, which is exciting because I love Studio Ghibli. We watched The Wind Rises and When Marnie Was There, which actually came out back to back. I think The Wind Rises came out in 2013 and When Marnie Was There came out in 2014. Did you get a chance to watch it?
I did. Okay. I mean, again, still like I watched the English version of it. Yeah, so still very impressed with the casting.
Yeah, I know, me too. Yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, when Marnie Was There was like Catherine O'Hara was in it. I was like, who, what, how?
Yeah. When Marnie Was There was a movie that I recognized voices. I was like, these people sound familiar. The Wind Rises, not so much. It took me a little while. I mean, there's some,
but then The Wind Rises has like a more like star-studded cast. It was kind of wild. I was like, Emily Blunt, what? And then Joseph Gordon-Levitt, what?
Yeah,
and John Krasinski and like Martin Short and who else was in that? Stanley Tucci.
Yeah.
I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah, I wasn't even paying attention. I think The Wind Rises, I wasn't paying attention because I was so focused on like, I think
the story was kind of great.
Yeah, the story was so in depth. It took me a while. Not that it took me a while to.
And it's a true story too.
Yeah, I didn't know that. It was only somewhere when they were talking about the So wait, I guess we should backtrack. The Wind Rises is a historical like period piece by Studio Ghibli. Beautiful animation film, and it's about like an aviation designer, I guess you'd call him, like an
he wanted to be an aeronautical engineer, so
yeah. And he helped design planes during World War II or before World War II for the Germans.
mm-hmm.
And it was interesting to see that history with the relationship between Japan and Germany.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, Japan was being exploited by the Germans because Japan at the time was poor and didn't have like resources. They needed jobs. Um, so yeah, I didn't know that. Like, I knew it was based on like true events because obviously with the relationship between the two countries and the history
Mm-hmm.
behind it. But then when they started talking about what Jito was creating, the plane that he ended up developing,
Mm-hmm.
I was sitting there watching it. I'm like, wait a minute, this has to be a true story because this seems oddly specific.
Mm.
And speaking of, I know in one of our podcasts when we watched what's it called? Weathering with You, we were talking about like these male protagonists in like Japanese films. I loved Jito. When I was watching it, I was like, oh, thank goodness that he's
I
like,
liked him more. I liked him as the movie went on. As it went on, I liked him better. But yes, what we mentioned about how like the protagonists are usually like very childish, very innocent, and kind of annoying.
yeah,
Which is kind of what I got from Jiro to be. What you know, I got that a little bit from him, but not too much that it pissed me off. And I also realized it isn't just their it isn't just the character, it's the way they're animated that kind of like annoys me as well. I don't know what it is. I don't know. I don't know how to put my finger on it exactly. But like if you look at the other like childlike characters, they weren't annoying at all. Mm-hmm. They're annoying. There isn't some naivety about them that pisses me off. But like with the protagonists, there is, and it's also like the way they're animated. There's like a look about them that I'm like, oh, that rubs me out the wrong way.
It's like that innocent look, and even their physicality seems very like hesitant and innocent.
Yeah,
I feel like Judo's character. I mean, yeah, he started off like young because he was young, but his progression was really great.
Yeah, no, I definitely liked him more.
I mean, I guess he's also a real person, so
right. Right. No, but I kind of really like some of the messages in the movie though about just dreaming and working towards like a bigger goal. And one of the things that one of the lines that I really liked was in the I think it was in the very first dream sequence he had with that Italian plane with that Italian engineer.
Yeah.
And the Italian engineer Stanley Tucci says to him, "Oh, planes aren't made for war. They're like made for dreams." And I was like, oh, that's actually really not, that's really like kind of poetic. So yes, so like there were like little bits and pieces throughout the whole film. I was like, oh, that's actually really sweet.
Yeah, one thing that I did like about this film too, and as you mentioned, like I'm looking at it now, I'm looking at like quotes, is that there are a lot of impactful lines in the film. And I think like what you mentioned, kind of goes hand in hand with Gito's character, because I really liked his character because I liked how grounded he was for someone who wanted to fly planes. Like he was so grounded and he was so calm and he was so trusting in his own self, because his friend was always like anxious and angry and annoyed and like hated the Germans and wanted to get things done and like knew they were being exploited, like all these different things, and he was just doing his job with I know there's like unfortunate circumstances that kind of came with it, but that's also the reality of the world that they were living in. There was no other way out of it. So instead of like fighting against it. He just kind of went along with everything
Yeah.
with so much ease. And I
Yeah.
felt so inspired by him. I was like, oh, like this,
Yeah.
this is an interesting way to like look at life, especially in the time that they were in, because like I said, I mean, they were a poor country. Japan was seen as like a backwards country.
Mm.
They were looked down on like once upon a time. Like we forget about that.
Mm.
And
Mm.
they were being like used, and they were also seen as the enemy years later. So it's like they were kind of, I think Jito, like the people that he surrounded himself with, they were in a very unfortunate position,
Yeah.
but he somehow still enjoyed his life. Even with the woman that he fell in love with, she told him like, I have tuberculosis, and his response was, I want to marry you.
I
Like
know.
I love that response because like he was just trying to make the best of like whatever moment he had,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is a very
And
touching
yes.
message because she was worried about her sickness and illness, and everyone around him was just like, how could you do this to her? And it's almost like, well, how could he not? Because she will die.
Mm.
You might as well
Mm.
give her life before she
Mm.
dies.
Yeah.
Very touching.
Yeah. And the whole like the end dream sequence was so like, oh,
Yeah.
it was yeah. And he goes, yeah, she's been waiting here for you for a long time. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, and there's something about that again. It's like trusting the process. Like even though it was so sad that she passed on, like he just knew it was just gonna he's gonna end up with her anyway
Mm.
after all of
Mm.
that.
Mm.
I don't know. It was a very interesting character or interesting person.
Yeah. It
Um,
was. It was. I really did enjoy that though. It was kind of it was really great. It was a good
yeah.
film.
Also, the dreams were interesting because the fact that he's being led by this Italian guy,
Yeah, you're
and
right.
like I thought it was a very fascinating like a I guess I don't want to say comparison, but the fact that like the Italian engineer related to him in some sort of way, right? There was like that one dream sequence when he took his family with him up on the plane. He's
Yeah.
like, yeah, this is everyone that I know. And he's like, Italy is poor too, and like we're not doing so well. Like it's pretty bad, but like we have each other. It's a
Hmm.
very interesting way to like compare, like, or I guess relate to Japan that way. It's I don't know. It was very like they were both very similar. So I don't know. It was a very interesting choice of dreams. I don't know if he
Hmm.
actually dreamt of an Italian engineer in real life or if that was like a Studio Ghibli choice.
I don't know actually. I'm sure. I mean, I actually had a quick Google of him after the film ended. And like the picture that came up looks so much like him.
Yeah, he's kind of cute. Like he's like,
Yeah, it was like the glasses and everything. It's like, yeah, I had a quick Google and nothing of like there wasn't like any talk of his inspiration.
yeah. Oh, he actually lived for a long time. He was 78 when he passed.
Yeah.
Why did I think he died like a lot earlier than that? Well, I guess the movie didn't really show that very
Right.
well.
It didn't go that. It didn't go through his whole life, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a really good. I really liked that film.
Yeah. Yeah, I really liked it. I think that's like I also think it's an important film to watch because I know in every country, like our history is always taught differently depending on like where
Hmm.
you're from. And I know
Hmm.
like uh World War history in high school, the way it was taught to me, it's like we always focused on America and Europe, right? Like
Hmm.
those are like the primary focuses. But like I guess later on in life, like learning more about what was happening around the world during World War II or even before, it's like not that it was never mentioned in school, but it was just never it wasn't a primary focus
Right. It wasn't taught. Right.
or it just wasn't taught as in depth. It was kind of
Mm.
like, and Japan was involved, blah blah blah. Okay, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Japan was
moving
just
on
there.
to the
Yeah.
next thing.
Yeah.
But just seeing, I guess, the history of like how they were involved and like how some people suffered and like what was
Mm.
happening during the time. And I don't know. I think that was like a very interesting part. And also it's I mean, war is so it's so gross because You think about the Italian engineer in The Dream where he said like planes aren't built for war, right?
Mm.
Even though this guy was engineering this plane and he was doing it because it was his dream, it's what he wanted to do, and he was doing it for good reason, right? For good
Mm.
purpose for himself. But at the end of the day, it was used for war.
Yeah, I mean, there was even one scene towards sort of like three-quarters of the way in when he's like giving this talk to all his colleagues, and then two bosses walk in, and you know he's giving this talk to his colleagues, and he even says at one point, "Oh yeah, to resolve whatever problem this is, you could remove the guns," and everyone laughed. But like
Yeah.
in his, I feel like in his heart of hearts, he meant it. But then he sort of like backtracked a little bit. It was like, so then I put those plans back on the shelf.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I think like,
It was when like there were seats in the plane to overlook the
yeah,
view, and he was like, "Oh wow, like we're gonna like move that. Like too bad
mm,
because people can see." And they
mm,
were like, "Who cares what they see?" Like,
yeah,
yeah, they laughed at him, they taunted him, and it's just like
yeah,
it is sad because like his point of view was so different than everyone else's. Like,
mm-hmm,
being like the,
mm-hmm,
I guess like the good usage of what a plane should be used for.
yeah,
And for them, it's like they were just heading off into war, which is also understandable because that's part of survival too, right?
right, exactly.
They kept questioning, like, oh, like, is Germany going to go to war? Is they going to go to war? And it's like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you know where this is going to head.
I know it's yeah. It was that part. I was like, oh, he meant it.
Yeah, yeah, it's such a heartbreaking and also heartwarming story
mm, mm.
because I feel like, yeah,
No,
no,
what I was going to say next is actually not even profound at all. But you finish your thought. You finish your thought.
Oh my god, it's funny. I no, I was gonna say it's heartwarming because I just feel like it's a very good message of no matter how shitty the environment or world that you're in, like he did good. He really was like a knight in shining armor because they called him that at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like
Mm.
he really was. Like maybe he's not like the hero that we all know from like World War II. It's like, but he kind of was a hero, like at the end of the day,
Mm.
in his own way.
Mm.
Just an ordinary guy.
No, true.
But yeah, that wasn't really that profound. It was just
It's more profound. Okay, well, it's more profound than what I'm about to say. Wait for it. So you watched the Japanese version, right?
No, I watched the English version.
Oh, okay. So what I'm interested in is in the Japanese version when he goes to Germany and everything. He meets all the German engineers, and in the English version they're talking to him in English, but with a German accent. So
Yeah,
I was wondering,
yeah. No, I'm
do
thinking
they speak to him in Japanese in the Japanese version with an accent or without an accent?
I was thinking the same exact thing too when I was watching it because I watched it on HBO and like they only had the English version.
Oh, okay. I didn't even look to see whether they had the English version.
Yeah, I
So,
always check just in case because like I'm always curious to know like I guess the original voices. But when I did watch that scene, I was curious to know if they were saying it in Japanese with a German accent or in
yeah,
English.
or just Japanese. Yeah.
And I wonder if they were taunting. No, wait, hold on. If they were saying with a German accent, well, there was a point where they were speaking German to the German guys, and like
Right.
obviously they spoke German because I'm sure there was some cross language, people speaking German.
Mm-hmm.
They're around in
Mm-hmm.
Japan. They're working with the Germans at the time. But then, yeah, when they were speaking, hold on, wait, when they were speaking English with a German accent, I wonder if they were speaking Japanese with a German accent. And I was thinking that too.
Yeah.
They probably were though.
And similar with the Italian fella,
Yeah. Oh, sure. Yeah.
right? Because throughout there were parts where it was just like Italian lines or like German lines.
Yeah. I
But I
wonder that too.
wonder, huh?
No.
Yeah, I was wondering because I was like, oh, I'm sure Keisha would have watched the Japanese version and she'll be able to answer the question, but apparently not. But apparently HBO only have the English version, so
Yeah. I'm curious too because I feel like even though Studio Ghibli is world known, like is their target market still Japan?
mm,
It is, right? I'm making that
I
assumption.
guess so. Yeah.
I know, like maybe like earlier, the very beginning, like, I could see that, like back in the 80s or 90s. Like now,
Mm.
I'm like, I don't. because this came out back in what 2013, I think.
Mm.
Like I did
Mm.
wonder, I'm like, are they still targeting Japanese? I have just Japanese. I don't know. Because you know how some anime they'll go around the world and like even if they're in like you know in a different country, they're still speaking Japanese with their own accent. You know, it's like
Right,
it makes
exactly.
sense because they're targeting a Japanese audience. But for this, I'm like I couldn't really tell either. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Answer to that is I don't know.
Yeah. No, anyway, so yeah, see, not that profound. It was just like weird thought. Um but
also,
but
also like learning about planes, like there's I loved the details that they went into the dialogue and also the plane design because I'm like, wow, there's so much
mhm,
that I had no idea or just never even thought about. And also even for that time, because I'm sure things have progressed since, but I did like that little detail in this movie.
it was very good. It was
That's
very
so good.
yeah. I mean, all the, that's what it is. I think all the anime films that we've watched is the attention to detail
Yeah.
is gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my god. And again, I bring it back to food. Like anime food, so fucking delicious.
Okay. It makes me think about the next film when Marnie was there because they picked the vegetables from the garden and they were like cutting the tomatoes and I was like, yo, that
Yeah.
tomato looks so good.
Oh my god, that tomato was so good, and that like seafood platter they had to begin
Yeah.
with in the
Oh
first
my
night. I was
god.
like, what?
Oh my god.
That looks really good. But easy segue to next film when Marnie was there. I did not like that as much. It was a beautiful story. Um, and the reveal at the end was like, I don't want to say predictable. Um, it
It was
maybe it was a
surprising.
little maybe it was a little predictable because like
Yeah.
you know spoilers at the end we find out that Marnie is her is Anna's grandmother,
Yeah.
um but I thought it was predictable in the sense that I realized I figured out Marnie must have been somehow related to Anna in whatever capacity that is.
Yeah.
um
I didn't think that. I mean, when
oh did you
So,
okay.
just to backtrack, when Marnie was there is about what's her name? Oh yeah, Anna.
Hmm.
She's living in like Sapporo, Japan, and she has asthma, and her family kind of sends her away to.
Well, no, we find out that she's living with this woman who is not her mom.
Oh wait, sorry, her fake family.
Fake that, right? We find out
She's
she's living with this
orphaned.
woman who is not her mom, and she's just like this depressed little kid.
Yeah, so she has
But
asthma, and her adoptive mom like sends her off to like the
mm,
mountainside to be with her aunts and uncle to just clear up her asthma, like her illnesses, and yeah, she's kind of like a very isolated, secluded
yeah,
teenager, which
and
I feel
also
so
can I
bad.
just say I probably gonna get canceled by saying this, but I it took me a while to until they said her name to realize it was a female character.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't think that. I mean, I guess the reason why I didn't think that is because she was going to an all-girl school.
I didn't. Did I miss that? I probably missed
The
that.
very beginning, yeah, yeah, when she was drawing and the teacher came up to the girls and was like, "Oh, what are you drawing?" And they finally came up to her.
Uh huh.
And it was in the very beginning, yeah, like she was going to a school with all girls.
Did it say all girls school?
No, it was just all the students were girls.
Oh, see, I didn't even notice that. So I just thought I was just like, oh, kids playing on the playground.
Yeah.
Didn't even assign a gender to any of them. But then it took me until the doctor and the adoptive mother seen in the house and was like, oh, Anna. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I mean, that's okay because like she could have been like an androgynous
she
character.
just had really short hair.
Yeah, yeah. And
and
she's
she
smiling at the
sounded like
beginning.
a she sounded like she was voiced by let me have a look. Who was she voiced by? She was later voiced by
She's voiced by a girl. Or by that actress. I always forget her name, but I know her I know her face.
Haley Steinfeld. Okay.
Yeah. So when I saw the film, I really liked the film, but I don't think I could ever watch it again. because I think the progression towards the very end just messed me up, like emotionally. It was so sad, and I didn't think that that they were blood related. I just knew as soon as they showed Marnie, I'm like, yo, this girl's dead. Like,
Sure. I mean, for sure. I mean, when she goes to the manor house and then she sees Marnie in the window, I was like,
she's a ghost.
one of them is dead.
Ghost.
Like one of them is definitely dead. Like
Too
I'm
many,
getting like Sixth Sense vibe from this.
yeah, like the way she was dressed, the manner, and also like when she met the mother at the party, I was like, why are these people dressed this way? And
Yeah.
also they had moments where they would like, I guess, forget things or not see each other. And I'm like, because she's dead.
Yeah, I was like, definitely one of them is 100% dead.
Yeah.
I mean, part of me was like, oh, it would have been so much more, it would have been such a bigger reveal if it turned out that Anna was dead.
Yeah. But
Right?
yeah, I like the story a lot. I like the characters a lot. But like I said, it's like I think like when their relationship unravels, the story gets more and more sad.
Mm.
And like in the end, I just felt really sad. You know, like I don't know, it I was like, oh, this is so depressing. Oh, this is so sad. Oh my god, another thing revealed. Oh my god,
Yeah.
so sad. Oh my, it
I
just kept
mean,
going and going and going. And it was really sad because I felt like it reminded me of it reminded me of like generational trauma,
mm-hmm.
right? Because this was the grandmother who was neglected by her
Right.
own mom, and she kind of passed down that trauma to her daughter. And then when her daughter passed away, she ended up just taking care of Anna, technically, but only
Yeah.
lived for a year. So like nothing was resolved
Mm.
until Anna. And yeah, it was sweet in the end that the adoptive mom and her like had a better relationship, but
Mm.
just getting more and more like every time they talked about the story, I was like, oh my god, this is so
Mm. Well, so I was like, so yeah, no, exactly, and so at the end of it, I was like, okay, this could have her depression or whatever that she's going through could have been resolved if the adoptive mother just said to her from the beginning that she was receiving money from the government as subsidies, whatever, rather than letting her believe that that the adoptive mother was being paid to look after her.
I mean, it's hard. It's hard. Like the thing is, like, so one thing is that when the movie started, I immediately felt drawn to the main character because when I was when I was at that age, I had so many insecurity issues that I would always tell myself I hated myself. Right. So when
Mm-hmm.
she said it, I was like, holy shit! Like,
Mm.
I kind of like it kind of like brought me back to reality of like what was happening with her. And I think it's hard because how old is she? She's supposed to be like 13 or like 12 or
Something
something.
like she's young, yeah.
She's really young, and like I think adoption can be really difficult for parents to communicate to their child like what's the right or
Mm.
wrong thing to say. And also she was physically not doing well, and then she also was, more than an introvert. She was so secluded with her own self. So it's like I think there is difficulty there to like figure out like what's because even if the mother were to say to her,
Mm.
hey, like we're getting money from, the government, I don't think that would resolve her emotional issues.
What was it that kind of like flipped the switch at the end? I mean, yeah, what was it that kind of caused it to kind of go, okay, this isn't so bad? I mean, other than the talk with the mother or the adoptive mother, rather.
I think seeing the story of Marnie, because it's like I think her actually like seeing like what was happening with Marnie's life as a little girl, because seeing Marnie like it was seeing her grandmother at her age, which is easily relatable, right? Like you can relate to people who are your age. And I feel like at that
Mm.
age, especially when you're so young, like you're very naive and you don't experience life or the world. So
Huh.
seeing Marnie being neglected by her own mother for all the wrong reasons, because her mother neglected her for parties and and
Right.
find champagne and these dresses, and like also she was bullied by like these maids and by her nana. And I think her seeing that, it's almost like she's seeing herself in this little girl and can see like why she was so unhappy. And I think seeing the storyline of like Marnie growing older and how that part of her childhood like affected the rest of her life and how that passed down to Anna. And I feel like for Anna, it's like it's kind of seeing like, well, my life isn't so bad because
could have been worse.
Yeah, it could have been worse. Because that's what I thought. I was like, oh, like, this little girl went through some shit.
Okay, so that was definitely not what I got.
Like, holy shit.
I definitely did not get that. What I kind of thought was that, oh, she had this, you know, beautiful like connection with Marnie, and that was why she kind of like got better, and that was it. And I was like, well, but then you find out she's actually dead, so like how is that gonna like make you feel better? So yeah. I told like your explanation of what triggered her recovery makes more sense, except that's not what I got.
Because her adopted mom actually did love her.
Yeah, exactly. Which is also what I said. I'm like, if maybe at some point before she sent her away and went, listen, getting money from the government to as a subsidy, not because they're paying me to like, you know, to like look after you. Like, I love you, like truly. I'm just getting extra money from the government to subsidize, you know, taking care of you, but it doesn't change how I feel about you. If she had just said that, maybe.
Yeah,
it would have just cut the film a lot shorter.
But also, I think also Anna had to see that her life not only was her life not so bad because of like her adopted mom, but but even
just downplaying her trauma. It's right? Fine. Her mom died. It's okay.
Like, you're fine, Anna. Your life is fine.
Yeah, Anna, you're fine. Only your mom died. Oh, look at your grandmother. She was neglected as a child because her mom wanted to have parties. Grow up.
With Anna's life, it's like she actually had people around her who was constantly trying to help her, right?
Yeah. Oh my god, the aunt and uncle. Oh my god, I love them. Love them.
I loved them, and even the kids in the village, like they were nice to her in the beginning.
They were really nice to her, and then she called one of them a fat pig. I was like, I'm gonna reach into that TV and punch you.
Yeah, like, oh. But you know that's a reflection of her being bullied by the other girls in the other school in Sapporo, and I feel like because sometimes bullying, like, to a victim can become narrow-minded. And can also become like their viewpoint of like the world is like more narrow.
Yeah, and she wouldn't trust, you know, these new kids who are actually genuinely trying to be nice to her, which I was like, oh, that's a change, because you know usually if you go to a new place or new school or whatever, like the kids are like fucking terrible. So that was a nice change.
Even when Anna called her a fat pig, the girl, first she was upset, but then she's like, let's start over, and like she gave Anna a second chance, and Anna's still
like just like that too. And I was like, wow, you are forgiving.
So yeah, I think Anna needed to like really see that her life is actually at a better start, even though there is
your life isn't that bad, Anna.
Well, because she even said to Marnie that, what did she say to her? Something about family. Marnie said something about her parents. I mean, sorry, no, Anna said something about like her parents or her aunt and uncle or something. And Marnie told her, like, you know, I'm jealous of you. You remember that part? It was a very small part. And I remember thinking, like, yeah, like actually Anna doesn't have it so bad. Like, Marnie was actually pretty isolated because she didn't have friends. She didn't have like anybody, actually. She just had those two maids at the house and and her nana, and they were just pretty much silencing her the entire time. So it's like, and meanwhile Anna had like all these people around her that loved her really. Anna, so ungrateful.
Oh my god, sorry, I'm just totally got distracted because I just got a notification for my second COVID jab.
Woo!
Yeah, I mean, I had to push for this one because I'll tell you later. I'll tell you when we're not recording. But
Okay.
I had to push for this one. So so I just got it. And it's this Sunday. Woohoo!
Woo, oh, soon. In a few days.
Yeah, soon. I mean, because of well, I mean, like I told you before, right? Like the time between jab 1 and jab 2 here in the UK is like 8 to 12 weeks, which is
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I've been trying to get an earlier one so that I can like, get my visa, that everything, all and travel plans all set.
Yeah.
And for like days, people like they were like, nah, we can't do it. And so I just emailed the hospital and they were like, yeah, we can.
Perfect. That's good.
So yeah. So yes. So I'm getting my second jab this Sunday.
Yay! Get that off your table, out of the way. Don't think about it anymore. Perfect.
Yes, I know. Thank goodness for that. But yeah, no, I going back to the film. You got totally sidetracked there. Going back to the film. Yeah, when Marnie was there, I that was the one I watched first out of the two, and I don't know, I didn't enjoy it as much as the second one, as as The Wind Rises.
I watched when Marnie was there after The Wind Rises, and
okay.
I kind of wish I flipped it because The Wind Rises gave me like some motivation and like maybe feel good. Like I was like, oh, it's so inspiring. And then I saw when Marnie was there, and it went downhill so fast.
Well, see, the opposite for me when I saw when Marnie was there, and after I was like, oh God, like that's I can't take back half the time I spent watching that. And now I have to spend another 2 hours watching the next one. So like mine started low and then went up. Mine started at the bottom of the hill, and then we had a very nice, inspiring climb.
Yeah, that's good. Good for you.
Which is good. But yes, unfortunately for you, you started on a high and you just like went downhill.
I was on a high too. I was like, oh, and then this happened, and it started off as a high too because I thought like because Anna to me was a relatable character for like my I guess inner child. So I was like, I was really into the movie. I'm like, oh, like I'm curious to know what adventure she's going to go on, and it was some adventure. She went on.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was a good movie, but I don't think I would watch When Marnie Was There again because it is a little too depressing. It is. I think it is a good story about like it's a very interesting not just story, but I guess like having two characters come together. I would say that I do love how expressive they were about their love for each other because they were family. Like
well, see, when they first expressed love for each other, I was like, oh, is this gonna be a little like R-rated?
Yeah.
But then afterwards I was like, oh, they're actually like related.
Yeah. Well, when they first did it, I was like, yo, this girl's dead. Like,
I was like, there's so much to unpack here, right? Like, right now, so much to unpack. She's dead. She's also 12. There's just all levels of wrong here.
Yeah, like Anna, this girl ain't living.
And also Studio Ghibli, what are you doing?
Yeah, but then in the end, it made more sense. Like,
yes,
why they had that unconditional love for each other.
You know what? Maybe I missed this totally, right? Like, this is pertaining to another character, but that Toichi character, the guy, the guy whose rowboat it is, and who doesn't talk.
Yes.
What happened to him? Did I miss him completely?
You know what? Actually, I'm so glad you brought that up because hold on, I'm reading it right now. I think, oh, okay, got it. Wait, hold up. Oh, no, I don't get it. I don't know. Because I thought he was going to reveal more when he spoke in the end, that like he knew her of some point, but he didn't say anything.
Because he like appeared at the beginning, like rows her back to shore, and then rows her out again in the next day, out in the water.
Yeah.
And then we see the kids making fun of him on the jetty. And then that's it. So
So
the end, right?
I have to look this up because that did bother me too, because I was like,
Well, I was
there's
like, what was
something
the
about
point of him?
what is the point of him? Hold on, I'm looking it up. Ghibli Wiki.
Ghibli Wiki.
Anything. What? Explain. Oh. Oh. Wait, hold up. So he's giving them. Oh, no, it doesn't say anything. Hold on. I'm still looking. Yeah, I thought they were going to reveal something about him, but because in the end, he was like, oh, the girl, like Marnie. And then the little girl was like, oh, like, because he finally spoke. But then, okay, a mute man, why do things matter? And no, there's like, I don't see anything about him.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, I thought maybe he was just somebody in the generation who just recognized the story and felt bad.
Probably.
Like what's her name? Hisako?
Yes. Yes,
Even though, but she was more involved. Like she actually told
she was more involved. But and then the other thing I found weird about Toichi was that like when Anna's first at the mansion that first night that she's there, and you know the tide rises and everything, she goes out onto the she goes out and like sees that she wakes up and sees that the tide's risen, and she's like, oh damn. And then it's just so coincidental because she's only been on that little like the pier for like 2 seconds.
Isn't Toichi the little boy that Marnie was dancing with? Do you remember when the night that they that she went out and she saw Anna and like they started dancing in the moonlight together and she's teaching Anna how to dance?
Uh-huh.
And then they showed that scene later on and they showed it wasn't really Anna, it was a little boy. In Marnie's time, she went out and so whenever Marnie in her time, not the time that her and Anna were connected, but in her time, she was seen befriending a little boy who looked like homeless.
Oh, I mean, I know there was another guy that she was dancing with that Anna was first jealous of, which again was like, this is kind of weird. Like, I don't know where at the beginning I was like, where are you taking this? But
I'm reading it here. It's not explaining why, but they said Toichi is part of an intergenerational friendship. So he formed a bond with no, it's not either, actually.
I mean, I wish that could have been like explained more.
It's not,
but no, what I found weird was that Anna, that first night when she was down in Tides Risen and everything, she's standing on the pier and she's like, oh damn, she's only been standing on the pier for like what, maybe 10 seconds, and all out of nowhere Toichi's there with his rowboat. I'm like, did you anticipate this? Like,
because I'm just trying to no, it doesn't say. Maybe I'm making that up. It's totally not Toichi. I don't know. It bothered me.
Right.
He looked like he could have been a cool character. Like,
he could have been a cool character because I was like, why is he not speaking?
Yeah. Anyways. Good animation though. It was really beautiful.
Yeah.
It really was.
Yeah.
But yeah. Well, that's that. You know what movie I actually recently watched? I watched it with my friend this weekend, and I didn't watch this movie because I think when it came out, it was rated poorly because I guess the main actor is like known as a comedic actor, is a Stranger Than Fiction.
No, I've not seen that one.
With Will Ferrell and Emma Thompson.
Oh.
It came out, it's like an older movie too. It came out
right.
Fiction. It came out like what, 2006? Oh yeah, 2006. And I remember the only reason why I didn't watch it was because I heard really bad reviews about it because Will Ferrell was playing more of a dramatic character than he was playing a comedic character. So I just never watched it. And then this weekend, my friend and I were bored, so we were like, oh, let's just watch a film. And we came across that one and we just played it. And I really enjoyed it, actually. And Will Ferrell was so good. I
Oh,
was just like, why have I not watched this film before? And so watch it.
okay.
It's a fun movie to watch. It's not like you don't need to use your brain too much, not like
Mm-mm.
but yeah, I was actually surprised by his. I mean, not that I ever questioned his talent because he is really talented, but I guess
Mm.
I just didn't expect him to play this character, and it was really nice. It was a nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
wait, what is it? It's not a comedy, right? It's more like
It's like a
dramatic.
comedy drama,
Okay, a
so it's
dramedy.
like comedic, but it's more dramatic.
Yeah. Huh.
It's not like a
Interesting.
straight up comedy.
Wait, what is that on?
I think it's on Netflix.
Cool.
Yeah, it's on Netflix.
Wait, did you get a seat in the Heights?
No, not yet. Not yet. I am gonna watch it. I had a feeling you're gonna ask me today about it, and I was like, oh shit, I didn't watch it
Mm,
yet. But I am gonna watch it. I'm gonna
maybe we
watch it
should watch
before
that
I
for
take
next
off.
week because
Yeah.
I would watch it again.
Let's watch In the Heights.
Oh my god, that's so good.
Let's watch another movie. Let's try to watch a comedy because when Marnie was there, really
What a bummer.
I know. Dude, when the movie ended, I was like, yeah, I gotta tell Hanjie, like next. You know what we should watch? I feel like we should and the reason why I say this is because this weekend we also watched oh god, what's the movie called? Whole Nine Yards.
No, I don't know that one.
Okay,
I've heard of it, but
that's
no.
another funny film. Watch it. It's just funny. There's nothing taken out of it. And then she ended up watching. She watched it, but I was actually doing work when she was watching this. She watched a film with Barbara Streisand from the 90s.
Okay.
And I watched a little bit with her. I completely forgot what it was called. I watched a little bit with her, and I was sitting there, and I'm like, I really miss 90s films.
Mm.
They're so good. They're so good. You actually really get to see like a person's life, from beginning to end of a story. And sometimes I feel like even like the dialogue between people is interesting. Like they say like interesting things. I'm trying to find the movie that she watched. What is it? No, it's in the 90s.
Yeah, 90s films and like 2000s films are really good.
Yeah, early 2000s. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Devil Wears Prada. Oh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's a good one too. So yeah, I feel like we should watch like an old school film. Oh,
Yeah.
The Mirror has two faces. That's what she watched.
The Mirror has two faces. That sounds like a horror film.
It's not. It's totally not. I promise you.
Oh, yeah, it does. Yeah, I mean, like the poster looks great. The poster looks like something like You've Got Mail or like Sleepers in
Yeah.
Seattle kind of
We could
vibe to
watch
it.
it though, because I didn't really get to watch the whole thing. I only watched
Okay,
like the
we can do a romance dramedy.
let's do it. I need something light and fun.
Sounds good. Let's do that. Wait, what is it on?
Netflix.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And she directed it too.
Oh yeah, she did.
Dude, Barbara Streisand, she's a whole other human. But she was good. I saw
And
it.
a young Jeff Bridges.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. You're like, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there are very few films. Actually, to be honest, there are very few films that I would watch multiple times. So that's on me.
What movies would you watch multiple times
Um,
and never get sick
I
of?
watched Devil Wears Prada multiple times.
Okay.
Actually, that's a good one. And I guess and also when I say multiple times, I would like put it on, and then just like forget about it. So like it's just on in the background. So it doesn't really count as me watching it.
Yeah, sure.
Like just mindless films like that happens. Like the Marvel ones, I would just put those on, just leave it.
Yeah, that makes sense. That one you could
like Friends, yeah, Friends. I would put on, just leave it. Like, space movies. I would watch multiple times. Like Interstellar. Oh, so good.
Okay, yeah.
Interstellar. Recently I watched Ad Astra again. That was really good. The Brad Pitt space movie. Yeah, space movies I would watch multiple times. I would actually like sit down and focus.
Yeah, the only two films that I could probably sit and watch multiple times and actually watch it, not like turn my back on it, would be The Fifth Element.
Okay.
I could watch that movie 100 million times and never, ever get sick of it. I don't know why. Something about it. So good. That movie and The Shawshank Redemption. Also, I could watch.
I've never actually seen Shawshank.
You should watch it.
I know that's like one of like the top movies to watch like ever, but I've never seen it.
You really should watch it.
And like Schindler's List, never seen that either.
I mean, I've watched that film, and it's speaking of depressing. It's so good. It's so good. It's one of those movies that's like it's so freaking good, but it's really hard to like watch again.
Yeah, I think that's what I struggle with. Like you know, like The Green Mile, that sort of movies that is really that deals with like really uncomfortable themes. I just can't put myself through 2 hours to like I can't put myself through that for 2 hours. Like I can appreciate it's a wonderful film. I can appreciate that, but just for my sanity, like nuh-uh.
Yeah, The Green Mile I definitely watched more than once because I love the actors. Like their whole dynamic is amazing. But something about Schindler's List is like it's just really hard. It's just
I don't know, maybe it's to do with Nazism. I don't know.
Maybe it has to do with Nazism. Maybe. I mean, also The Green Mile has to do with racism too. So I guess
right. Yeah. So like difficult themes, whilst I appreciate that they're difficult and that the film is beautiful, I like it. I have to muster like the energy and the courage to like put myself through that. So yeah. Same with like horror and thrillers. I'm like, why I don't want to pay $15 to like, you know, back when we could go to movies. I don't want to pay like $15-$20 to like sit in the dark and be scared. Like, no.
I like psychological thrillers, but I don't like horrors.
Yeah.
Like horror films, I don't like them. Like I think the last movie that I really watched that was a horror film was one of the Conjuring movies.
Oh God! I was literally about to say The Conjuring.
Watching this. It's annoying.
I was literally about to talk about The Conjuring too, because you know on HBO, when you log in, it comes up with a recommendation, and one of them is like The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It or whatever, and then it not only is it just a poster, it's like an autoplay preview of it. I'm like, scroll. I
hate that. Don't do that. Why do they do that? So bad. So
I don't want to watch this.
I've been seeing advertisements for The Purge Forever.
The Purge, and like that's
The Purge, right? So they have another film called The Purge Forever, where like all violent crimes are forever legal. Because I think the concept is that it's only for a certain amount of time, like it's for a block of time, but like this movie it's like it's forever legal.
And God, that's stupid.
I know. And even the advertisement is just because you know how like horror films they will show they'll show the jumpy parts, but like they won't really show like the gory parts of it. But even that advertisement, it was so violent. I'm like, I'm not gonna sit there and like watch, because I tried to watch the first Purge because I think the concept is an interesting story. It is fascinating, right? Like I guess the concept that they came up with. But when I watched it, I didn't watch the whole movie. I watched like a part of it. It was just constant violence or like goriness.
No.
I'm like, why did I watch? This is stupid.
I mean, saying that, although I wouldn't watch I wouldn't watch horror movies at all. Give me 1 second. I'm just gonna pause 1 moment.
Over it, yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, so I was gonna say I don't normally we'll figure an edit for what just happened. We'll take it back a second. Yes. So whilst I wouldn't watch horror movies in its entirety, I would watch clips of it on YouTube just so I know what happened. Like The Quiet Place, right? Like wouldn't watch that. Nope.
I actually watched it, but see that movie I liked because it wasn't continuously gory and violent throughout the whole thing.
I don't like jump scares either.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't think because I saw that movie in theaters, Yeah, I actually was okay with it because it was more, I think they were more focused on like the storyline and the characters and like the
Oh, I'm a
motive.
total wuss. But
I
but
understand
see,
what you're saying. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
I would watch clips of it on YouTube. So like Quiet Place, I watched the ending, so I knew what happened. I was like, great, he died. Wonderful. Um,
Yeah, there's some films. I mean, it's weird because there are some films that are considered slight horror. Like I saw years ago they came out. There's a movie. I think was it an Australian film? I gotta look it up. Hold on. I saw a movie called The Babadook.
Babadook. Oh,
Yeah.
isn't that supposed to be
Oh,
scary?
yeah. So it's an Australian psychological horror film, and it really was scary.
Oh God. Ugh.
But what I would say is that the concept of why it was scary, it was really fascinating because it was showing how the main character, who's a mother who had a child, she was a single mother, she was dealing with like post traumatic stress disorder while trying to raise a child, and like how it was messing with her head.
Oh.
And it was, I remember watching it and like I hated it, and then in the end I was like, oh, that makes sense, and like I was no longer scared of it. It was like a, I guess the way they tied in the story to show that even though it wasn't like a scary film, she was going through this for a reason. And the interesting thing too about that movie was that actually it had a lot of like feedback from parents who actually commended the film, because the fact that they were trying to show that, I guess, this mother who was suffering stress disorder from like, I think like her husband died, and also trying to raise like a child, and also dealing with like other issues of her life, like it was like causing like so much psychological damage and emotional damage. And like that's where all these scary images, or her, like it was almost like she was hallucinating but not really,
Mm.
because she wasn't like a schizophrenic, patient. She was just like a normal woman. So
Yeah.
like films like that I like because there's a purpose behind like why these things are scary. I get that. But then if it's just scary just to be scary and to be gory,
Ugh.
it doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah, no, that all those kinds of film like scarred me. Was like I watched Aliens as a kid.
Oh,
Nope,
I loved
couldn't do it.
Aliens. Oh my god, it's one of my favorite
Oh,
films.
oh my God, terrified.
For giving me
I
this.
was terrified to walk in my own house in the dark because I thought an alien was gonna fucking jump out of nowhere.
Yeah. I
Oh,
actually was never scared of
I
aliens.
was
I
terrified.
never thought of it as scary.
Like Aliens,
Yeah.
X Files when I was a kid.
X-Files. Yeah,
No,
I can see
when you're
that.
like watching when you're watching it when you're like 6 or 5 or 6 years old, like
Yeah.
it's terrifying. I just can't like I was couldn't like I said I couldn't walk in my house in the dark, or be alone.
I'm trying to think what movies scared me when I was a kid. I'm looking up horror movies, 1990s.
Or like Freddy. Nope.
Arachnophobia came up as the first one. You ever seen it?
Nope.
I've seen it. I hated it because I have a phobia.
Oh
What'd you say?
God.
What was another one that you were scared of?
X Files. Wait, X Files. I mean, the X Files reboot. Actually, I'm like fine with. I think if I were to rewatch X Files now, I'm fine with it. Because
Oh, The Ring. The Ring creeped me.
no, thank you.
I saw that.
Like The Grudge. Like, nope.
Oh, you know what scared me as a kid? Oh, Grudge, you know. What scared me as a kid was It.
Oh, I can't watch that now either. So,
Personally, as a child, like I never liked clowns, and when I saw that as a child, like
and the clown in like the storm drain. No, thank
thank
you.
you. Nope, nope,
I
nope,
can't even watch that on the YouTube trailers. Like, I
nope,
can't even watch clips
nope.
of it. So no.
I do not like clowns ever in my life. As a child, I remember my mom taking me to like the circus. I remember when the clowns, like the men like dressed up as clowns, would come into the audience. I never liked them. I'm like, they're creepy, like creepy older males like coming at you. No,
Right.
thank you.
Oof.
And they're always
Oof.
like walking like this. I mean, you can't really see it. Like, they're always walking with a weird like hunch, and
Like
like they're kind of
weird
like,
waddle, right?
like why are you walking like that?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not silly. It's not fun. Um,
Mm.
oh, Mimic. Mimic was another one I watched when I was a kid. I did not like. That was creepy.
I
Don't watch
remember the
it.
film, but I don't remember what happens in
Good.
it.
Forget. Don't ever think about it.
Yep. No. Great.
um, I'm trying to like look up other. There's some here that I remember, but like I don't really recall.
Hollow Man wasn't great either.
Oh, I don't like that film. That was weird.
That was like Kevin Bacon as like
pretty
much like a sexual predator.
That's what it was. I remember watching it and like I remember watching it because I thought the storyline was interesting. But then all he did was like harass and rape women afterwards. And I'm like, why am I watching this? This is so stupid.
I mean, the reboot of it with Elizabeth Moss, actually, that one was a little bit more bearable. I didn't watch it, but again, watch clips of it on YouTube.
Oh yeah, I do want to see it. I didn't get to watch it, but I do want to see it because that one had like more of a direct purpose. It was her ex-husband.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah. So I won't tell you what happens in it. But you should watch that one. I mean, like I said, I watched clips of it on YouTube, and I was like, oh, okay, this could be good. And that is my review of the movie based on YouTube clips.
Let's see, horror movies of 1980s aside from Freddy Krueger. What the hell? I typed in popular horror movies and Stand By Me came up first. Why?
What? I mean, it probably was terrible. That's just why horror. It's terrible to the point where it's a horror movie.
That's so terrible. Cujo. The Shining.
I
wouldn't say.
I don't think I ever watched The Shining in its entirety.
Yeah, I wasn't really too big of those films. Oh, you know what movie really scared me? Which honestly, it's not from the 80s, but it's like from the 2000s, is a movie called Dead Silence.
Sounds about right.
With I think James Wan directed it, and it's with puppets.
No.
Don't ever watch
Hard pass.
So the reason I watched it was because there was a point in my life that like I still do. I think he's creative and talented. James Wan, like he's a good filmmaker because he created Saw and he created all these other films that were really good. So I ended up going on the streak of like watching all of his films. And then I came across this one movie called Dead Silence. And like it's about like spirits and puppets, I think. I don't remember the story. That
sounds terrible.
I watched it and I was like, yo, this shit's creepy. Like I was freaking out so much. My sister thought it was really funny that I was freaking out. And I'm like, no, I don't like it.
I mean, it's fucking terrifying. Like
terrifying.
I mean, I admire saying that. As much as I hate horror movies, I admire people who have the stomach for it. It's really interesting to me how I have a different reaction to them, and some people just laugh at horror movies because they're like, oh, this is so ridiculous, and I'm like, yeah, it's ridiculous, but it's also really fucking scary.
I don't understand people who like laugh at horror films, or like not even just horror films, but like gory horror films.
Well, I think they laugh at it because it's so absurd.
True.
And I wish I had that mindset. I wish I was able to just sit down at like The Conjuring and just laugh at it. I can't.
I'm too like empathic to just take things as just being silly. Something gory as being silly. Anyways, I was gonna say something about like horror films, but I completely forgot. I think no more. I don't know.
Yes, no more horror films. So we are watching next week, not a horror movie. We are watching In the Heights. Woo, woo, woo.
I guess that goes to show that we'll never watch a horror film. On these
recordings. No, that's not going to happen here, so don't have that expectation. In the Heights, and then the other movie, which sounds like it could be a horror movie, The Mirror Has Two Faces, which is Jeff Bridges and Barbara Streisand.
Thank you for listening to episode 8, a review of The Wind Rises and When Marnie Was There on the Every Shade podcast. Stay tuned for episode 9 next week. And don't forget to follow us on Spotify, YouTube, and Instagram at Dark Brown Channel.